Welcome to the Deep Dive. We take sources you provide and, well, we pull out the key insights.
Exactly. And today, we're diving into a book review. It's Kazuo Ishiguro's Never Let Me Go.
Right, this review was actually a final S1 project by Swatan Hasana back in 2015 at Diponegoro University. It's available online as a PDF, actually.
And it's a great source for us because Hasana really lays out the strengths and the weaknesses perceived in the novel. It's quite structured.
So our plan here is to unpack that review, look at those arguments, and give you a solid grasp of the book's reception, at least through this academic lens.
Okay, so where does the review start? Strengths, I assume.
Yeah, first up is the theme, the big one, organ donation from human clones.
Which is fascinating because the book's set in the 1990s, right? Before human cloning was even a thing.
Exactly. Ishiguro is exploring these like really heavy ethical questions way ahead of time. It makes you think about, where things could go.
And the review points out something interesting, how the clones find a kind of happiness or maybe purpose through these donations.
Helping others. It ties into bigger questions about, well, what makes a life meaningful, even if it's, predetermined in some ways.
It's a heavy concept, but there's another major theme woven in, isn't there? Friendship.
Oh, absolutely. The review really digs into how the book shows friendship in all its messiness. Love, sadness, fights, jealousy.
All the normal stuff, but amplified maybe because of their situation.
Yeah, the review suggests that knowing their time is limited actually strengthens those bonds. Shared hardship.
There's that quote the reviewer highlights from Kathy, something about losing friends but not memories.
Yeah. I lost Ruth, then I lost Tommy, but I won't lose my memories of them. It's powerful stuff.
Really underscores how important those connections and memories become, especially facing loss.
Right. And the reviewer basically concludes that this focus on friendship, on supporting each other through thick and thin, is a real strength of the novel.
Makes sense. Okay, what about the characters themselves? The review mentions them as a strength too.
Definitely. Kathy H., the narrator, is singled out. She's described as kind, maybe a bit submissive, or accepting of her fate.
That's interesting. Accepting. Makes you wonder how you as a reader react to that.
It does. But she's also curious. The review mentions that detail about her looking at pictures of girls holding their legs open.
Right, which sounds a bit odd out of context, but it shows that normal, almost mundane curiosity, doesn't it, despite everything else, grounds her.
Yeah, it makes her feel real. Yeah. And there's Tommy.
Ah, Tommy. Described as grumpy and not decisive.
Yeah, but loved by both Kathy and Ruth. The review uses that scene where he's like raging because he didn't get a suspension.
Oh, right. Raging, shouting, flinging his fist. It shows that frustration, that sort of railing against the system, maybe.
I think so. And then there's Ruth. She sounds complex.
Very. A leader when they were kids, apparently, but later shows some less flattering traits. Selfishness, jealousy.
Yeah, but then she does something quite redeeming, right? Trying to find Madame's address for Kathy and Tommy.
Exactly. So she's not just one thing. That complexity, the review argues, makes the characters and their friendships feel, authentic.
Totally.
Well,
They drive the story. Okay, let's switch gears slightly. The review also talks about the title and cover.
right. Not something you always see analyzed in detail.
The title, Never Let Me Go, described as concise, memorable, intriguing. Fair enough.
And the cover. A woman in a red shirt, sitting in a park, looking thoughtful.
Yeah, the reviewer suggests it implies some kind of problem, a moment of contemplation, but they go deeper into the colors.
Oh, how so?
They reference another article, apparently, about color psychology, green for silence, loyalty, yellow-green for friendship, anxiety, red for strength, courage, happiness,
Wow, okay. So what's the overall effect?
melancholy. The reviewer feels the combination creates this, sad, thoughtful mood.
That's quite an interpretation. Does it connect back to the story?
It does. The reviewer links this image and mood directly to the end of the novel, where Kathy's alone in a field, thinking about her friends, holding on to those memories we talked about.
Ah, so it ties the visual presentation right back to the core themes. That suggests the cover was well chosen then.
Yeah, the reviewer sees it as another strength, fitting the novel's tone.
Yeah.
Okay, so that covers the strengths. But no book is perfect.
Right. The review must have identified some weaknesses too. What were they?
First one mentioned is the plot structure.
The flashbacks and flash forwards.
Exactly. The reviewer found it a bit confusing, said it requires a lot of concentration from the reader.
That can be tricky. Some people love that kind of structure. Others find it jarring.
True. Another point was a lack of detail about, well, the mechanics of it all.
Like how the clones were actually created. or the donation process itself.
Yeah. There's a brief mention of someone called James Morningdale, apparently, but no real explanation. And things like, which organs? How does it work? The reviewer felt it left you kind of curious.
Yeah, I can see that. Sometimes ambiguity works. Sometimes you just want to know more about the world building.
Right. Then there's the ending.
Ah, the ending. Often a point of contention. What did the reviewer think?
They found it open. Maybe too open. Kathy decides to go where she should go. And it's vague.
Ambiguous. So it leaves the reader hanging a bit.
That seems to be the reviewer's take. They actually state a preference for a more closed ending, happy or sad, doesn't matter, just something, clearer, more definitive.
Which is fair enough. Endings are really subjective, aren't they?
Definitely. And the last weakness mentioned, this one's interesting, is the sex scene.
Oh, there's an explicit sex scene.
Apparently. The review quotes a bit of Kathy's description. Sounds quite physical. And the reviewer felt it was unnecessary.
Unnecessary how? Like gratuitous?
Kind of. Given the main themes are organ donation and friendship, the reviewer questions why this explicit scene needed to be included.
Okay, I see the point. But did they offer any counter-argument?
They did, actually. They acknowledged that showing this intimacy, this passion, does reinforce that the clones are fully human. Same feelings, same desires as anyone else.
So even within the criticism, there's an acknowledgement of its potential thematic purpose.
Exactly. It's not just a simple dismissal. So after weighing all these strengths and weaknesses, what's the final verdict from the review?
Well, it sounds like overall it's a recommendation, right?
Yes, especially for readers who like fiction that makes you think, and obviously those interested in the whole human cloning idea.
And it loops back to the idea that the novel really pushes you to consider organ donation, longevity, those big life and death issues.
And the review even notes the controversy around cloning, but suggests maybe it could become more accepted in the future, which is quite a thought.
It's definitely provocative. So the bottom line is...
The bottom line from Hazana's review is that Never Let Me Go is worth reading for its moral lessons, despite any perceived flaws in structure or clarity.
Okay, so we've taken a pretty deep dive into this specific review. We've seen the focus on the core themes, clones, organ donation, friendship.
We looked at what the reviewer loved, the characters, the themes working together, even the title and cover design.
And also the critiques. The potentially confusing plot, the ambiguous ending, the debate around the sex scene's necessity.
But the overall takeaway from the review is positive. It's seen as a valuable, thought-provoking novel.
So for you listening, having heard this breakdown of one academic perspective, what does it make you think?
Yeah, what resonates with you? Does this analysis change how you might view the book? Or does it spark curiosity about those ethical dilemmas, the value of life, connection, mortality?
It certainly gives you a lot to chew on, thinking about how we value life and relationships, especially when time feels limited. Something to ponder.